Shalom. I'm Rabbi Nathan Davidovich, speaking to you on behalf of the webyeshiva.org. We started talking a few minutes ago, and then my internet went out. So hopefully the internet will stay and you'll be able to hear what I have to say. We're there. We are right after all this hard work getting ready for Pesach. We're ready for Pesach. Passover starts tomorrow night. Tonight, which is Thursday, I'm in Eretz Yisrael. In another hour and a half, we'll be searching for the chumetz. And you remember last week, I talked about the significance of the chumetz. Chumetz isn't just searching for breadcrumbs. Obviously, you've got to make sure there's no leavened products in your house, but it's a time for introspection. It's a time to get the chumetz outside of each of us. Tonight, I'm going to talk about something different. Tomorrow night, we have the Seder. The Seder in which we talk about everything that happened to us. There's a specific commandment in the Torah. It says, V'garta levincha bayom hahu lemor, ba'avor zeh. It says you shall tell your children on this day of Passover, that because of the various things we're going to talk about, because of the miracles, because of the Emuna, the strong faith, undeniable, unyielding faith of the Jewish people in Egypt. Because of that, I have brought you out of Egypt. And the Hagadah, in talking about all the sages of the time were sitting and discussing the whole story of the Exodus from Egypt all night long, to the extent that they had to be reminded that it was time for the morning Shema. They were so engrossed, and you think, such wise men, why do you have to keep talking about the same story? And at the end, I'm going to talk about a story that the Baal Shem Tov said about somebody repeating the story who really didn't know much about the intricacies of the Passover Exodus. But the Hagadah says something very interesting. The Tivot Shalom brings it down. He says, "Vafilu kulanu chachamim," even though we're all wise men, we're all men of understanding. Mitzvah aleinu lesaper b'yetzias Mitzrayim. There's a specific commandment to tell the story of the Exodus from Egypt. And then the Hagadah says the following: "B'chol hamarbeh lesaper b'yetzias Mitzrayim harei zeh meshubach." Whoever constantly repeats the story of the Exodus from Egypt on the night of Passover will be praiseworthy. Tivot Shalom says, another Meforshim asks, what's that about? Normally we do a mitzvah. We're commanded to do a mitzvah. God tells us to do something. Okay, we do the mitzvah. We have to say Shema. Okay, we say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, once in the morning during the davening, and once in the evening. But we don't say it over and over and over again. We say it once, and that is all. When we have on Sukkot, we have a mitzvah taking a lulav and etrog. So we take it and we shake it in the morning, we make a blessing, but that's it. We don't spend all day long with the lulav and etrog. Same thing with matzah. Okay, we eat matzah on the night of Pesach, but we don't eat matzah constantly, nothing else. We fulfill the mitzvah once. Why is this different? Of saying that this has to be done over and over and over again. And this is different than anything else. And we already fulfill the commandment of remembering the Exodus from Egypt each day by saying the Shema. It says in the Shema, okay, we fulfilled it. Why in the night of Passover are we going over and over and over again? And the Rambam says, he says on the commandment of V'garta levincha, he says it's a commandment to tell your son this story, even if the son didn't ask about the story, and even if the son is wiser than the father still has to tell the son. And that's a strange thing. If the son is a Talmud Chacham and the father isn't such a great Torah scholar, why would he You think the son would be telling the father, but no, it says the father should tell the son. And he says the reason is Pesach is really the Chag HaEmuna. Pesach is the festival of faith, because we see all these miracles that happened, everything that happened to bring the people of Israel out from the servitude of Egypt. The servitude of Egypt was unlike any other servitude. It was so intense that the children of Israel couldn't even pray to God. They could only shout and moan, help us. That's what God finally listened to their moans and brought us out of Egypt. So this is the festival of Emuna, and Pesach, the Davidovich Shalom says, is Rosh Hashanah of Emuna. It's where the headquarters is. And the purpose of telling the story and retelling it on the night of Passover is to strengthen the Emuna. And what you are doing, you're having the father tell the son, and the father is telling the son what his father told him, and his father received it from his grandfather, and so on until the actual exodus from Egypt, where it was passed down from generation to generation. So by retelling this, you are keeping a chain of continuity of Emuna, continuity of total faith and belief in God, stemming from the time that we were in Egypt and God did all these miracles for us up until this present day. And the Davidovich Shalom points out, he says, this is not we're not just talking about something that happened over 3,000 years ago. We're talking about something that has relevance today in our life. And that, of course, is the Emuna that we have, that we feel, that we are taught. And we say on the Hagadah that B'chol dor v'dor, chayav adam laharos etz atzmo keilu hu b'atzmo yotza atav mishubah b'Mitzrayim. Every generation, every person has to think that he himself came out of Egypt. And he says this is the essence of the Emuna that you pass on by telling this to your children. And it says all night long. So there's a story that's told about the great Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov heard from heaven on Passover night that there was some person whose recital of the Hagadah and fulfillment of the mitzvah of Higad to Levincha was on a level higher than that of the Baal Shem Tov. And he wanted to see who this person was. And he investigated and found that this was a little countryman who he went and he asked him. The Baal Shem Tov says, what did you do on the night of the Seder? And this little country person said to him, I don't really know much about what you're supposed to do on the night of the Seder, but I came from from shul, from the synagogue, to my house, and I felt this great feeling, and I was elevated, and I thought, I really have to tell this story. So I told my children, my family, I said, there was this king named Pharaoh in Egypt, and he did many bad things against us, and God saved us and brought us out of there. And now we have to thank him, so we'll drink a glass of wine. He drinks the glass of wine, and then he says again, repeats the same thing. There was this king in Egypt named Pharaoh who did horrible things to us, and then God saved us and brought us here. And then so we have to thank God, and we drank the second cup of wine, and on for the whole Seder. But what he was doing, he didn't really understand what he's supposed to do, except he had great Emuna. He had great belief in God, and he was trying to pass that on to his children. And that Emuna that he had, that strong feeling, recognizing that God has saved us, that was what he was imparting to his children. That's what we have to impart to all of our children. To tell the story over and over again. It's not an old story. It has application right today for our very lives. I wish you all a very happy Pesach, and I wish everybody has the opportunity. Everybody has the opportunity to really tell this over to your children on tomorrow night. Thank you for listening on behalf of the webyeshiva.org. Wish you a happy Pesach and a Shabbat Shalom.